Welcome back to some sub plans. Mr. Surface is out today, but that will not stop us from completing this novella. We only got 4 minutes left, so I thought we would just start by going here to our class link page. And once we're on our class link page, you're going to click on that. Now, if it is between 8 o'clock and 9:35, if it's between that, all you need to do is go down here to core 1. If it's between 9:35 and 11, you just need to go here to core 2. All right, and you'll see that there. And eighth grade, we'll worry about eighth grade later. All right, but let's just say you're in core 1. You're going through here. You will see this video here, but you'll also see this sub work folder. You'll click that sub work folder and boom, it'll take you right there, and you'll open up this Castle Diary Pear Deck. Open this tab. Couldn't be clear, couldn't be better. And you use that while you follow along with the video up on the smartboard. All right, make sure you click happy even though I'm gone, right? Make sure you click happy. We got to stay positive every day of our lives. And you can negotiate the little slides here. And it looks like the matching slide that I need y'all on is slide 61. Slide 61. All right, so let's go ahead and bring our tab over here to slide 61. Oh, I'm on 49. So I'm going to go down here to 61 on my computer, but maybe you're negotiating it here in the old tab here, the old Schoology. Boom. All right. So 61, and then it'll be sort of right on the 62 almost right away. So we're sort of going to start right down here where it just drag your light bulb right there. Okay. And remember, I'll be home checking all these different tabs. So you got to make sure you're on it, or I got to reach out to home. Hey, is everything okay with your student? They're not doing a blessed thing in class. And I want the sub to give me a call just in case that is also the case. Give me a call, substitute, if a student is doing nothing, because that's not acceptable to me. All right, let's go ahead and finish this story real quick. We got 4 more minutes left. All right, let's get meta. Let's get on this YouTube.
December 7th, Friday.
Slide 62.
This morn my aunt told me that my father is coming. He's expected the day after the feast of St. Stephen, and I'm to return home with him to visit with my family. I cannot wait to see my mother and sisters again, though I shall sorely miss my friends here and hope they do not forget me while I'm gone. December 19th, Wednesday. Went to cut branches of holly and ivy to hang in the great hall and elsewhere. Mistletoe, too, from the apple trees that grow by the west wall. The first chaplain would not let us bring the mistletoe into the chapel. A pagan custom, he called it, but my aunt ignored him.
Slide 63.
Saying, each year it is the same. The chaplain dislikes mistletoe because it is held holy by those who worship tree gods, but their religion is older than Christianity, so I see little harm in it. December 25th, Christmas Day. There was dancing and jollity in the chapel after Mass this day, which again made Chaplain mutter about pagans, but he would not or could not stop it. High and low danced together, and even those who came to wish us well this day joined in the revelry too. Even Chaplain tapped his foot when he forgot he should not. Then all the castle folk gathered in the hall, from the constable to the lowliest stable lad. To each my aunt made a gift, and all thanked her kindly. I received an inkwell with a silver lid and a tiny knife to cut goose quill into pens.
Slide 64.
December 6, 26, St. Stephen's Day. Dinner in the hall today was a grand feast in honor of the saint. To celebrate St. Stephen, they do many things here which we know nothing at home. Today, I learned, is a day for rewarding castle horses. They give them special feed and do not work at all, though not even Chaplain could explain why this was. Then the other pages and I went out to hunt the wren, which is yet another old custom that is followed here. But though we took crumbs of bread and spent much time hiding in bushes, we could not capture so much as a feather to show for our pains. Had a grand snow battle, though, at which Mark and I were clearly the victors. December 27th, Thursday. This day my father arrived, leading a second horse for me. I'd been looking out for him from high up in the watchtower, and as he neared, I hastened out to greet him.
Slide 65.
For home early on the morrow, so I spent what was left of the day in making my farewells to my cousins and the many other friends that I've made here. Mark and I looked for David in the village, but though the fire in his house was still warm, we found him not, so Mark will tell him I'm gone. December 28th, Friday. Father woke me before dawn. We dressed and ate quickly, and I scarce had time to hug my aunt and uncle, but we were away. It is a long ride to Saltington. My father desired to use every moment of daylight for travel, though the moon would light our way should we not reach home by nightfall. When we had gone some ways off, I heard the drumming of hoofs behind us. It was Simon hastening after us. "Oh, Toby," he hailed, and when we halted, he gave me a long, slim parcel wrapped in cloth. "Remember thine archery, cousin," he said. "No bird is safe on the wing so long as thou practice at the books." With this, he slapped me on the back so hard I near fell in a dike. We said one last goodbye, and he was gone again. Though I did not open my gift until we reached home, I guessed what was inside it. As Simon left us, I turned to look back at Stranborough. New fallen snow dusted the tall towers, and on the highest I could see the watchman stamp his feet and blow on his hands to keep warm. 'Tis but a 12-month since I first saw that sight, yet somehow I fancied I returned home far more than a year grown.
And then there he is. He's leaving on slide 67 towards the end of the book. Goodbye, Tobias. Now, the book goes on. The book goes on, but the fictional part, the diary part, that part's over. So as we go through these next couple slides, we're going to use all of the draggable tools to break down the nonfiction part because there's this complementary little appendix to the book that's actually pretty neat. And what I'd like y'all to do is follow along with me, and we're going to annotate it. Mr. Surface, I'm a new student. Mr. Surface, I forgot it. Mr. Surface, a truck ran over it. If you are without a computer today, all right, make sure you raise your hand first, check with the sub, and go over to the cabinet and get yourself a copy of the Castle Diary so that you can follow along. All right. So once you are done with the book, then you start on Toby's World. This is the part that is nonfiction. It's nonfiction, okay? And as we go through, we are going to annotate it together. Wait a tick real quick. Okay. So we're going to practice using these draggables here, and then the assignment that you will do will be going back to the beginning of the story and then using all the draggables from there. So what do these draggables do? Well, there's these little directions on the side, okay? Let's read them together. Drag this blue one over here and match it to the magnifying glass, just like that. Sub, if you want to go around and check computers and make sure people are following along, their magnifying glass should be there on top of the gray magnifying glass. You're going to find a connection on the page. Well, can I show my connection with the other blue magnifying glass? Yes. Yes, you can. What seems important? That's where the light bulb goes. Light bulb goes there. What do you have a question about? If the sub would like to lead you in questions, sub need only ask, where did you put your purple question mark? And you can generate a question or work with a classmate or a sub or the entire class to generate that question. And finally, what connects to today's learning target? Today's learning target, I'm going to connect with the prompt, which is asking you to analyze the figurative language, helping the reader to better understand Tobias. So we're going to be on the lookout for figurative language, especially once we get back into the Castle Diary, right? But right now, we're just going to practice, and maybe we'll see some similes, metaphors, personification, imagery, metonymy, synecdoche, or anything along those lines. All right, let's get into it. Toby's Diary. Well, there's my first connection. I see Toby's World here. I see a picture of Toby there. But boys like Toby really did leave their families to work as pages in castles and would have played the games his diary describes and met people similar to those who appear in its pages. But although Toby wouldn't have known it, his uncle's castle was nearing the end of its useful life. So this connection between real life and Toby's experience, I'm going to say that seems important to me. So I'm going to put my light bulb right there. All right. But although Toby wouldn't have known it, his uncle's castle was nearing the end of its useful life. My question there is, why? Why is the castle not going to be useful much longer? I have some guesses, but all right, I don't see any figurative language. So I'm going to leave the check mark on top of the check mark. Slide 69. Attack, and in 1285, Europe was at peace. When wars began again some 50 years later, new weapons and ways of fighting gradually made castles less important. So there's my answer. All right, so I had my question, new ways of fighting, new weapons, right? And when the wars began. So I see a connection between the relative peace that's going on in this book and the new weapons that occasioned the new age. Toby's world, high and low. As the Baron of Stramborough, Toby's uncle would have been part of the most powerful group of noblemen in his country, second only to a king or queen. These noble lords controlled vast areas of lands and castles. Well, it does seem important that he's such a powerful person. So nobles were very powerful. I'm going to move my light bulb there. These noble lords controlled vast areas of land and the castles that went with them. In return, they pledged their loyalty to the king and promised to fight in his wars and to bring an army of knights and foot soldiers with them. They also had to pay the king part of the wealth their land brought them as taxes. Knights were noblemen who were also professional warriors. Each lord gave some of his lands and manor houses to his knights to use, to support themselves and their families. In return, the knights promised to fight for that lord and for the king. All these noblemen had total control over the lands they were given, including the peasants, villains, and freemen. All right, so this villains word with an EINS, why is it spelled that way? And is that where the term villain comes from? I'm wondering. As in bad guys who lived and worked on their estates. Villains had to stay on the estate on which they were born and could be punished for leaving the estate. They farmed plots of land and had to give their labor and part of their crops to the noblemen who owned the land. Freemen had more rights. They could move to another estate, and laws limited how much labor they had to do on the lord's land. Well, I certainly do not see any figurative language, so I'm going to put that check mark down there. Slide 70. Are you getting the point here? Oh, look, we got a little uh, uh, hierarchy here, right? I know hierarchies have been important in this unit. So I'm going to automatically, even before I look at the hierarchy, right, I'm going to put my light bulb next to king and queen there. Villains and freemen had to fight in their lord's army, though, and provide their own weapons. All right. Aside from the lord, oh, and by the way, villains and freemen, there's the villains there, right? And turns out they had to fight in the army. So I got the connection between the picture and this. Whenever you're wondering, substitute, class, anybody, what to do with those connections, and there's a picture on the page, match the magnifying glass to the picture and put the other one to the words that match. All right. And we'll do page one together. We'll do that. Aside from the lords and their knights, the only other people of importance were high ranking officials of the church, such as bishops and the abbots of monasteries. These people might also be given land, but their only duty was to pray for the Lord who gave it to them. In Western Europe, this way of organizing people according to their birth and the amount of land they controlled was called feudalism. Repeat after me, class. Feudalism. Let's try that one more time, a little bit louder. Feudalism. Oh, perfect. However, by 1285, knights had begun to pay money to their lord instead of fighting in his army, and eventually money payments were replaced by all the feudal duties. Part of me was like, so are we just picking on poor people here? The answer would be yes. Younger sons, and this will be where we finish with the nonfiction, and then we're going to backtrack to the fiction. So get ready, y'all. Younger sons. In Toby's time, when a nobleman died, his title and lands usually passed to his oldest son. And if he was wealthy enough, his other children might receive a living, such as a manor house with some farmland. Okay, we'll come back to this tomorrow and Friday. We'll come back to the nonfiction tomorrow and Friday. But what I want you to do is we're going to zip on back to the beginning. All right. So, those of you who just have books, go back to the beginning of the diary. Ready? On your mark, get set, go back to the beginning of the diary. Whoa. I think it was slide 5. Whoa. Okay. So there's examples of figurative language like we've been seeing up there. All right. Oh, there's a little connection there. Okay. So we're on slide 7. Everybody turn to slide 7. Slide 7. So we're reviewing, but this time as we go through, we're going to be using our connections, our big ideas, and identifying any figurative language that we can find. So this journal, being the diary of myself, Tobias Burgess, begins this day, the 2nd of January, in the year of our Lord, 1285. Well, since we just finished the book, my question is, wasn't quite exactly a year, not to be a stickler. I write these words at my home in the parish of Saltington. Here I dwell with my father, Henry, my mother, Gwynedd, and my two younger sisters, Edith and Cian. But soon I shall be leaving here, for I am to spend the next 12 months and more, I hope, as a page at the castle of my father's elder brother, John Burgess, Baron of Stramborough. Ooh, I like that word, Baron. And who's the Baron? John Burgess. My uncle had expected me these past 2 years, but my mother wept and would not let me go. In just 2 days, though, I shall be 11 years of age, and my father says I can wait no longer. At last, I am to be taught the skills and duties I must know to become a squire, and even mayhap a knight if my father can afford it. Well, there's that combination of money and hierarchy again. I'm going to put my yellow light bulb right there. My mother bids me to write this journal so that I'll remember all that passes and can tell her of it when I see her next. For though Stramborough Castle is not 20 miles distant, 'tis most difficult country to cross, and as few people journey that way, news from there is scarce. Not all that stops me is the weather, for snow lies so thickly on the ground that roads can barely be seen, let alone traveled upon. The delay tries my patience, and that of Hugh, my father's servant, whose task it is to deliver me to Stramborough. I don't see any figurative language on this page, so I'm going to put my check mark on top of the check mark. That's where it goes when there's no figurative language. Though I, slide 8, y'all, shall be sad to leave my family, except for my sister Cian, who vexes me daily, I scarce can wait to begin my new life. My question is, what is she doing to vex him so, to make him so mad, right? And if you don't know the word vexes, then the question mark can go there too. January 10th. Our arrival made me feel most grand, for when we were yet some distance away, the watchman did spy us out and sound his horn. This would be the watchman that was sort of like um, stomping his feet and trying to stay warm early at the end of the book, a year later. And my cousin Simon rode out to greet us. Simon is full grown and soon to be a knight, but I was greatly pleased to see him, as he was kind to me when he last visited my father. We entered the castle through a great gateway and into the bailey beyond. My father's manor house and his stables would fit easily in this huge courtyard. At the far end stands a strong tower house called the Keep, and within the Keep is the great hall, which is used for eating and other gatherings. All right, so I see a connection between what the Keep is and what it's used for, eating. The family live in near dwellings built against the south wall. Here Simon showed me where I would sleep and left me. I share my room with three other pages. We sleep on wooden pallets with mattresses and straws at home. It seems to me that the castle itself is the big idea here, and we enter it and we learn where people live and what it's like. I do not see any figurative language, so I put the check mark on top of the check mark. I confess I am so tired from the journey that I barely have strength to write these words. January 11th, Thursday. I awoke this morning early and had a chance to observe the other pages while they slept. The one who woke next shared some bread with me. He told me his name was Mark and asked mine, and as we ate, he pointed at the other sleeping pages and laughed. See, Toby, Oliver and Humphrey shall have no bread, for they slumber still. Oh, they don't like waking up, so there's slept and there's slumber. Soon Simon came to me to the great hall where my Aunt Elizabeth sat by the huge fire. My question is, because it's a tough picture to see, is that Aunt Elizabeth over there in that picture? She welcomed me finally and told me that my uncle attends the king in the west of the country but will return in a few days. Well, the uncle seems like an important dude, so I'm going to put main idea that we're all kind of waiting on the uncle. Everything revolves around him. Slide 10. Then my aunt bade me greet my other cousins, Simon's sisters, Abigail and Beth. Abigail, who is fairer of face, is younger than I, and her sister is older. When we were introduced, Abigail blushed. That's your cousin, so I'm going to put a question mark there and leave it there. And looked at me from the tail of her eye. Toby is here to learn the duties of a page, my aunt told him. But this day I would like to show him our home. Then turning to me, she added that on the morrow I would learn that I must make myself useful. By the way, corner of the eye or tail of her eye is an idiom. Sounds like an idiom of the day. An idiom is a common expression, like it's raining cats and dogs. We use that example often for idiom today, right? Meaning it's raining hard. So I'm going to put my check mark there because we found an idiom, which is a type of figurative language. Let's go. Pew, pew, pew. Then turning on to me, she added that on the morrow I would learn what I must do to make myself useful. January 12th, Friday. I find that everyone calls my uncle and aunt my lord and my lady, and that I must do likewise. Hmm, that seems to be a matching set. Lord and lady. And that I must do likewise. There are so many strange things to learn and do here today that I have time to write only a line or two. I fear my journal will have many gaps in it. Directly after January 13th, Saturday, directly after we had broken our fast yesterday, my aunt summoned me and my uncle to me of my duties. Pages here serve my aunt and uncle, and thus learn courtesy and manners and customs of a noble family. Well, that's what Toby's going to be doing the whole time, so I'm going to put that on top of pages, right? Like other pages, I'm expected to make myself useful, running errands and carrying messages and such like, and at meal times I'll learn to serve my aunt and uncle and their guests, to fill their cups and carve them slices of meat, which I will place before them in a genteel way. Ooh, genteel, I remember that word. But as I am her nephew, I am also to be my aunt's personal page and must hold myself ready at times to attend to her. Though I thought this an honor, Humphrey, who is the oldest of the pages here on slide 11, scorned it, saying my aunt will have a sharper eye than most for my errors. All right, and here he is. There's Toby, and there's the aunt. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of these slides to you. Obviously, you're not going to get through them all today if you're reading them and doing them correctly. So please make sure that on each slide from 11 to, 112 if it comes to it, that you are using all draggables and that they belong where in the spots you put them. If you can't find a place to put them, they will go over here, right? That usually only happens with the check mark because it has to go with today's learning target, which is identifying figurative language. Okay? So I'm going to put that here for now. I'm going to leave you to it. Your assignment, and I'm going to repeat this 5 times. Your assignment is to annotate all the slides with the draggables. Your assignment is to annotate all slides with the draggables. Your assignment is to annotate all slides with the draggables. Your assignment is to annotate all slides with the draggables. And your assignment is to annotate all slides with the draggables. All right, I wish you good luck. Go get them. You got this.